Hi guys, it's Kelly Latavola here, and I'm back with another video for Neat and Tangled. Today I'm going to be using the S'more Fun stamps and dies. I also showed you the geometric circle stencil, which I think is beautiful, but I actually didn't even end up using it in the completed card. So I have a couple of different sized heart dies here. I'm going to be doing some die cutting. I just really thought this would be cute. I think it's cute for any time, honestly. Like a little campfire scene. But we are campers. We have a pop-up. My husband loves camping, and so I thought this would be kind of cute, maybe for a Valentine for him. So anyway, I die cut all of those, ran them through my Big Shot, and you can see on the left-hand side there's this background that has that geometric circles stencil. I didn't use it. So I'm just showing you the inking of the hearts right now. I'm using worn lipstick, abandoned coral and distress oxides, and then I'm using candied apple in distress ink. The reason why I switched it up is because I wanted like a really bold red heart, and it's hard to get really bold color with the oxides. So anywho, the reason why I did not use the stencil is because, like I said, I think it's beautiful. I love the pattern of it, but I just could not. This card was already kind of busy for me. Probably not really busy by anybody else's standards, but for me, it just kind of felt like a lot of items. One quick note here, you can see I'm kind of pressing this heart into the ink pad. There's a little trick that you can do if you're having a hard time holding on to your smaller things. Just press them right into your ink pad. And then if you need to smooth it out, then hit it with an ink blender. I am using Perfect Pearls in the color Perfect Pearls, and I'm going to spatter this along with just some clean clear water onto the background that I didn't end up using. Here's me showing you my thermal nail polish. So I figured at some point somebody would wonder why my nail polish kept going from blue violet to pink, and the reason that it is because it is thermal nail polish. So it changes. It's when it's cold, it's the blue violet, and when it's warm, it's pink. So super fun. I mean, I wore one when I went to create. I did the Create It tickets for Neat and Tangled down there, and Jennifer McGuire saw my nail polish and told me I was a party trick. So it kind of is. It's a little bit fun. My son had a really good time playing with it all day. We were doing the dishes, and anytime the water would like beat up on my nail polish and then get cold, like due to the air, he would be like, do it again, do it again. So it was funny. But anyway, I did the hearts. I left a gradient on the big one, and then I did the Perfect Pearls and the clean clear water just like I normally do if you watch my videos. Here I've stamped out all of these. I mean, they're just so darling. The cute little s'more ingredients. So you have your marshmallows, your graham crackers, and then your chocolate, which is my favorite. That is true. I'm not lying. My favorite candy bar is actually just a plain Hershey's chocolate candy bar. There's nothing that beats that. But adding the shading to the marshmallows, I went with a C1, a C3, and a C5. They're going to look really dark right now because there's no other color on the screen. So I'm adding a little bit of shading to their tops, closer to their faces, and then a little bit on the left and the right hand side. I'm going to blend that back out with the C1. Anytime you're coloring something white, you want to make sure that you leave white on in there. You're just adding in the shadows. I wanted them to be a little bit warmer, just to kind of tie in with that graham cracker and the chocolate. So I'm actually just going to hit the sides with an E50, just to kind of warm them up a little bit. And then, of course, I got to give them a little blush to their cheeks because that's just adorable to do to little stamped images. And then we're going to move on to the graham crackers. So for these ones, I used the E50 families. That E55 was just like the perfect color for a graham cracker in my mind. And it was just like, there is no better color for it than that. So I am adding shading to the left-hand side. I just have a tendency to color as if my light source is in the top right-hand corner. which doesn't even make any sense because I did it for the graham crackers and I did it for the chocolate, but for the marshmallows, they're colored as if there was a center light source. I don't think anybody's going to notice, and quite frankly, I don't care if they do because it's a card. Actually, it's for my husband, so I know the recipient will not notice. Positive of it, in fact. For the sides, I'm just doing a line of the E57 on the sides of the graham cracker, and then also on the one that's behind. Making their shadow a little bit darker on the one that's in the back will help push it to the back so that it does look like one is behind the other. I'm going to go back in and blend that out with the E55. Here I took it out farther on the back graham cracker than I did on the front, and I kind of regretted that decision because the front graham cracker ended up being substantially lighter than I would have liked. She was kind of looking more like a saltine than a graham cracker. So I did go back in with the E55 and then blend that out with the E53 just so she was a little bit darker in color and looked more graham cracker-y. That's a descriptor, right? That's a total adjective. E20s is going to be for my chocolate bar, which is very fitting because I think it's the E27 is actually called milk chocolate. That's the color of the marker. So like I had a choice but to pick anything else, right? Here I'm just going to fill the whole thing in with the E25. I do want there to be some dimension where those pieces, like typically on a chocolate bar, are kind of raised up. So I'm adding darker shading to the in-between lines, and then I'm also going to add just a little bit on the tops of the bars. I'm going to leave a lighter edge on the left-hand side of the raised portion, just so that it gives it like a little bit of a highlight. I'm clearly leaving the largest highlight on my right-hand side. And then I don't know if you can tell, on the left-hand side, that E27 marker was just like really filled and it kind of got away from me. It got a little bit sloppy, which is normally not a problem when I do a card because I do a lot of one-layer cards, but here I'm going to be using the dies, so it kind of is a problem. We're going to go back and fix it later. Don't sweat it. Here I'm going to work back out to that lightest color, just kind of bulking up those shadows a little bit, and then we'll blend everything back out with the E27, or I'm sorry, E25 on the right hand side. And then I'm going to grab my colorless blender. Anytime you're fixing any errors with your colorless blender, you actually want to use the tip of the marker and push it towards where you want the color to go, and then give it a couple of seconds to dry in between. You don't just want to keep oversaturating the area. Push it towards where you want it to go, let it dry for a few seconds, and then go back in there again if you have to. I forgot to add pink to the cheeks of the graham crackers and the chocolate, so I went back in to do that. Kind of regret a little bit doing it on the chocolate. I should have used a darker pink, but decisions were made. So now, white highlights. That's what we're doing. We're using a white gel pen to do the white highlights, and I did that on each item ingredient here. I hate to call them ingredients because they have such cute little smiley faces, but that's what they are. I'm going to outline all of my images using the EK Success, what is that thing called? Writing pen. I think it's a journaling pen. There we go. Journaling pen for the win. And then I'm going to line up my dies. And again, I'm going to run this right through my Big Shot. So I have kind of my pieces parts. And then from here, I'm going to start building my card. And this is where things kind of have gone awry. So this is what the card looks like with the background. I don't like it. I'm like, nope, I don't like it. Too much pink. Now let's try it. We're going to try a different background using the cracked pistachio and broken china. There's that one. And that one's gone again. And it's totally not, like, it was just me. Like, I couldn't, there was, like, I had, how many hearts here? Like 6 hearts. 3 different stamped items and the sentiment, which is a large one, and it was just like it was too much. And that's just me. That's my own personal style. That doesn't mean that it's going to be too much for you. If you like that look, then go with it. I'll just find other ways to use those backgrounds because I do think that they're beautiful. I just don't think that they're beautiful for this particular card. So anyway, what I ended up doing was the cracked pistachio and then adding a little bit of broken china, doing the same thing that I did before. I flicked on the clean clear water, flicked on the perfect pearls, and now we're back in it to win it. So I have all my little elements set up. I had to I had them all set up, then I put them in the Misty, then I put the sentiment on there, and I was like, it's too busy again. Why do I keep doing this to myself? And then so I kind of had to like snug them up a little more, just to kind of fit with my liking. And then it's okay, because I mean, I had to make the design a little bit tighter, but that's all right. Speaking of building the design, I always like to put a little bit of Tombow Mono multi-glue on the back of my pieces parts. You don't want to adhere it while it's wet. You want to adhere it once it dries, because then it's repositionable. And I tap my fingers on the back of them a couple of times just to make sure they aren't too sticky. And then I can build what I want to build, and it will stay there. Like, I won't have to be chasing the pieces all over the place. But it won't be permanent. So now I'm trying to make my life a little bit easier is what I'm doing. And so I'm putting the Scotch foam tape on the back of this, only where it's going to adhere to a heart. And then the same thing over here, this red heart, which actually, this white glitter paper from Simon Says Stamp, which is what I cut the medium-sized heart out of. I also cut a smaller one, and then I ended up coloring it red with the candy apple. That's why it looks like it has glitter on it, because in fact it does. But anyway, I glued the heart and the marshmallows to the hearts behind it, and then I could just move it like it was one whole piece. And I didn't have to worry so much about having to glue each individual part down. I'm just going to do it as one bulk piece. So I glued my graham crackers to my big heart. I glued the other heart down flat behind it. Now I'm going to glue this one down flat. And then we're going to start working on how I'm going to build up those pieces. Those three are going to be the only parts that are flat. I'm going to remove the release paper from that marshmallow that I hadn't removed it before. And then I'm going to add another layer of foam tape there. I'm also going to add 2 layers of foam tape to the red heart that's hanging over. This is because I know I want to pop up the pink and the white hearts with foam tape, but I've already adhered the other 2 with foam tape, so they have 2 layers versus the 1. So for everything to sit flush, I need to have 2 layers on those pieces that peek through. So I put some more foam tape, just 1 layer this time, on the medium and the small heart, not the teeny tiny heart, the small heart, and then went ahead and adhered that down. The chocolate bar is going to tuck in behind this white heart, but it's just going to be flush with it. So I'm going to use just 1 layer again of that Scotch foam tape and then just tuck it in behind. I tried to make sure that I left enough room at the top that I would be able to, in fact, tuck them in, and it wouldn't be competing with that foam tape. I adhered that last little heart with 2 layers of foam tape, and then because I kind of had to stamp my sentiment a little bit, I guess a little bit funny. I don't want to say funny because funny sounds bad, but I just had to stamp it a little bit differently to be able to get it as close to the design as I wanted. I just filled that in with some clear sequins, and then I always top mine off with some glossy accents to make sure that they stay put, and then that's the whole card. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope that you are having a wonderful weekend, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.